Welcome to A Line Through Time, where I take the time to look through your favourite franchises and work out how it all lines up. The Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse is a weirdly underutilised concept in the realm of video games. You'd think they'd be ideally suited for the role of either four-player co-op protagonists or world-ending antagonists. Darksiders is one of the very few franchises to actually take advantage of this concept, and it's got some really cool ideas. But its timeline is weird. You'll see how soon enough. The series began with Vigil Games' Darksiders in 2010, telling the story of War, who is blamed for starting the apocalypse early. He is imprisoned for a century and then sent back to Earth to find the true culprit. These two events need to be separate on the timeline for reasons I'll get to in a moment. At the end, the other three horsemen arrive to assist War in the coming battle with the true threat, though they don't properly appear on screen. There was also a prequel comic known as Darksiders the Graphic Adventure. While partially set at the start of the game, the comic also depicts two other events from unspecified points in the past. One is the horsemen going after a rogue War, with Death taking War's arm, which I think is supposed to be why War has that massive gauntlet. The other is right before the game, where the four deliver a message to Samael and Lilith from their bosses, the Charred Council. Both of these scenes show off the other three horsemen's designs that are still subject to change by the time they debut in a game. In the lead up to the sequel, a novel titled Darksiders the Abomination Vault released in July 2012. It takes place ages before the games, presumably after War briefly going rogue, given that Death suggests that War is as loyal to the Council as Fury is in the book, which would make a later rebellion seem a little out of character. Plus, I think he has the gauntlet in the book, but I don't quite recall. Death, the last of the Firstborn Nephilim, has to deal with the return of the Firstborn's most powerful weapons, the Grand Abominations, which were sealed away due to their uncontrollable power. War joins him on his quest, while Fury and Strife only make a small appearance, presumably to not lock down their abilities until they got their own games. It really highlights just how fun these characters are to watch as a group, and how much of a shame it is that it took until 2018 for us to see more than one horseman in a single game. Darksiders 2 then released in August. The game follows Death seeking to revive humanity to absolve War of his alleged crimes shortly after War is imprisoned. We also learn the backstory of the horsemen's race, the Nephilim, and how the horsemen wiped them all out for the sake of creation, an act that continues to haunt Death to this day. The game had 3 DLC stories that are all set during the game, which I think was a shame. These could have been standalone adventures that flesh out the backstory and relationships of the horsemen, or a deeper exploration of the war with the Nephilim instead. As is, they're just an indicator of the fact that Death got sidetracked 3 times while trying to aid his brother, which I guess shows how much he cares about him. Darksiders 2 Death's Story is a 5-issue comic by Dark Horse, appropriate, that began release in December 2010. It's mostly set in 1722, following Death hunting down a corrupted angel that ties into the game, and also a flashback of the horsemen getting their horses prior to the final battle with the Nephilim. And that scene is another great showcase of the horsemen's personalities. The series fell into limbo in February 2013 with the closure of publisher THQ. The franchise was purchased by Nordic Games, who later bought the THQ name and became THQ Nordic. Vigil Games also folded, with a number of team members forming current series developer Gunfire Games. The next 2 releases would be remasters of the previous games, Darksiders WARMASTERED and Darksiders 2 Definitive Edition, which are awesome names and I won't hear any different. The next entry would finally be announced in 2017 and released later this month, Darksiders 3. This entry follows Fury as she embarks on a mission to hunt down the 7 deadly sins shortly after the apocalypse. I asked the devs on Twitter when the game is set in relation to 2, and they confirm that it's at the exact same time. Like, Death leaves on his quest immediately before Fury is given her task. GG. Also GG for removing Fury's irises and pupils during development because she looks way better without. And GG for naming yourselves GG when your series is about people who ride GGs. Yeah, nobody's going to get that one. I'm curious to see how Strife will play in 4 without turning the game into a jarring third-person shooter. It may have been better to have him and Fury share 3, which would also allow 4 to be called Darksiders the 4, which sounds like it would fit really well with the names of the remasters. But regardless, the Darksiders timeline goes a little something like this. The demon Lilith combines the remains of angels and demons to create the Nephilim, beginning with Absalom. Absalom leads the Nephilim in a war on creation. Another of the firstborn, Death, conceives a way to convert the bodies of the Ravaim race into weapons known as the Grand Abominations. Growing weary of the conflict, Death, Strife, Fury and War defect and become agents of the Charred Council. Empowered by the Council, the 4 horsemen annihilate their race, gathering their souls into Death's amulet. Death then seals the Abomination Vault to keep the weapons from being used against creation. War goes rogue and is brought to heel by the other horsemen, losing an arm to death. The angel Hadramon and the maker Belisatra attempt to seize the Abominations to wage war on the White City. Death and War kill Hadramon and take Belisatra into custody. The angel Abaddon requests Death to eliminate the corrupted angel, Makala. He hunts her to Earth and kills her. 300 years later, the End War is triggered early by Abaddon. War is summoned to Earth to serve as a scapegoat. He is imprisoned by the Council for a century. Shortly thereafter, Death departs on a quest to revive the souls of humanity to absolve War of his alleged crime. Fury is sent on a mission to hunt down the 7 deadly sins. Death slays the revived Absalom and sacrifices himself and the souls of the Nephilim to revive humanity. War is released by the Council and sent to hunt down Abaddon and his cohorts. With Abaddon's death, the 7th seal is broken and the 4 horsemen are reunited for the coming war with creation. If anyone from Gunfire Games somehow sees this video, please give us more interaction between the horsemen and the games. It's the coolest thing in the comics and novel, and the fact that a franchise about the 4 horsemen is taking over a decade to actually show the 4 together in its primary medium is just really bloody weird. If you liked this video, why not subscribe and support me on Patreon like these fine people here? If not, then make sure to share it with your enemies so they too can die in the apocalypse.